All right, we can give out the lessons. I'm praying that I can get through this one. Today we'll be doing part 2 of the heavens. The heavens. We did part 1, and we talked about the heavens. How many heavens are there? What are the first 2? First 2 heavens are what? Where the birds fly, that's the first heaven. And the cosmos, where the stars and the other planetary bodies are, is the second heaven. And where is the third heaven? The third heaven is where God resides. Is hell in the third heaven? I'm going to make you think today. Is hell in the third heaven? Is the lake of fire in the third heaven? Now you better watch your answers now. So what is the third heaven? Is the what? Who says it's the spiritual realm? Raise your hands. The third heaven is the spiritual realm. So here's my question again. Is hell in the third heaven? Now I want you to think about that. Now who says hell or heaven is the spiritual realm? Raise your hands. The third heaven is the spiritual realm. So is hell a spiritual place or a natural place? So is hell in heaven? I'm messing y'all up, aren't I? But think about it. Now, who says that heaven is the spiritual realm? The third heaven is the spiritual realm. All right. Now, I want you to think about this. Is hell a spiritual place? Raise your hands. If hell is a spiritual place. So, if the third heaven is a spiritual place, and hell is a spiritual place, is hell in heaven? So you just can't come to grips with that, can you? I can't know the way hell can be in heaven. We're going to talk about it. Amen. Just wanted to make you think first. How many are waiting for an answer? Don't rush out the door. We're going to get to it. Let's get into this. In part 1 of our lesson on the heavens, part 2, of the lesson on the heavens, we will be examining what is commonly called heaven. In part 1, we discussed the first 2 heavens are the natural heavens. The first of the natural heavens is considered or called the first heaven, which is directly above the earth, in which the birds fly in. We're going to teach today. We're going to get an understanding. The second of the natural heavens is considered or called the second heaven, which is the cosmos, where the stars and other planetary bodies are or reside. The third heaven, which we will be examining today, is very different from the first 2 in that it is not a natural or physical place. So the third heaven is not a natural, it's not a tangible, it's not a physical place that you can touch with this body. The third heaven. I'm going to ask you to open up with me and hold your place at Luke chapter 10, verse 18. As I read on, the third heaven. Before we go any further regarding the third heaven, I must ask you, what is the spiritual realm? What is the spiritual realm? I'm asking you. Like, wait a minute. It's a Sunday morning. You don't ask me. You tell me. So what is the spiritual realm? So is hell in the spiritual realm? Here we go, here we go. Here we go. This is good. I want to make you think today. Because we're going to think about hell, heaven, and all that other good stuff, finding out where it is. Is it a place where everything spiritual takes place? Does the third heaven exist somewhere in the spiritual realm? What do you say? Does the third heaven where God dwells in, is that some kind of place, city in the third and the spiritual realm? So the third heaven is a place in the spiritual realm. Raise your hand if you agree. It's a certain place. It's like a city or something in the spiritual realm. Raise your hands if you believe that. Raise your hands high. I want to see you. All right, all right. Watch yourselves now. So you believe that the third heaven is a city or a place specific in the spiritual realm. It's not. So here is my question. The New Jerusalem that's being built, is that being built in a city in the spiritual realm? What about hell? Is it also in the spiritual realm? Who says that hell is in the spiritual realm? You are smart. There is something that most people do not know, and that is the entire spiritual realm is heaven. I know. The entire spiritual realm is heaven, or what we consider the third heaven where God dwells. The spiritual realm does not have a little place that God says is mine. It's not a little corner, a little city that he says, this is mine. The entire spiritual realm is the third heaven. Although we cannot see it without naked eye, it is above us. When we think of heaven, the third heaven where God dwells, we often do not realize that it is a spiritual place that is as vast as or larger than our entire known or unknown universe. I believe that just like the second heaven, the cosmos, has in it the first heaven, as well as every other planet in the universe's heavens, so does the third heaven have in it or under it the entire second heaven, the cosmos. So the second heaven is not greater than the third heaven. The first heaven is not greater than the second heaven. So we can deduce, as I said, that the third heaven is greater than the cosmos, so it's bigger than what we can see on the known universe. I want you to realize how big your God is. Now, although we may consider the third heaven the spiritual realm as God's abode, there are yet some parts of the spiritual realm in which we would not consider heaven, which are hell and the lake of fire. Makes sense, right? Why would I consider hell and the lake of fire part of heaven? That makes no sense, does it? Okay, let's figure this out. I know that it would seem that hell and the lake of fire are in the spiritual realm, and it may be, in fact, be in a place that borders between the natural realm and spiritual realm and other dimensions that we are not privy to understand as of yet. To give proof that the third heaven is the entire spiritual realm, I will use Satan's expulsion from it as my example. Was Satan thrown out of heaven, the spiritual realm, or both? Was he thrown out of heaven? Was he thrown out of the spiritual realm? I'm making you think today, huh? Was Satan thrown out of heaven, the third heaven where God dwells? Was Satan thrown out of the spiritual realm? Where is the spiritual realm? Is this the spiritual realm? Where is Satan operating now? He's operating where? Here, right? Is this the spiritual realm? So is Satan operating in the spiritual realm? I'm messing y'all up. Some of y'all are like, Bishop. I'm trying to get you to figure it out. Satan is operating here, right? Well, not in this church because we kick him out. He's outside. Outside is what? The natural. He is a spirit that is operating in the natural because he was given the out of the. So he's not in the spiritual realm. He has access to them because for what purpose? To accuse you and I. So he has access to the third heaven for the purpose of accusation. He goes there to accuse you of not doing what you're supposed to do for the Lord. But he doesn't have residence there. His abode, his habitation, his place that he stays is not in the third heaven or the spiritual realm. He functions here in the natural, so he's a disembodied spirit operating in the natural realm. Interesting. Interesting. So Satan is not in the spiritual realm or the third heaven because he was given the heave hold. Is it starting to make a little sense to you? Some of you got questions like, Let's go on. Luke chapter 10 verse 18 says, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from. What heaven was he falling from? Was it the second heaven? He was kicked out of the. This is describing the original fall of Satan. When he and 1/3 of the angelic host rebelled against God. He was cast out of the third heaven, the spiritual realm, where God's throne is, to earth. From this we see that Satan was expelled out of the entire spiritual realm, the third heaven. Presently, he is not confined to earth, for he can go to the second heaven, the cosmos with the stars, and the first heaven, which is the earth's atmosphere.